Hey friends, it's Angela with Love God Greatly. I'm excited to start Ruth chapter 4 with you this week. This is our last week in this book of Ruth, and I pray that you have enjoyed it as much as I have. I have just loved just seeing this beautiful story of Ruth and Boaz and Naomi and how God is just coming in and just redeeming this situation. This week what we see, we're reading today chapter 4 verses 1 through 6, and we're focusing in on verses 5 through 6. And I love how when we read today's scripture, how we see that Boaz is a man of his word. He tells Ruth that he's going to go into the city that next morning and he's going to speak with the elders and he can speak with this next kinsman redeemer and try to get this situation handled. And if it's in his power, he is going to redeem her. And so we're just excited and waiting. And so that's where we open up today, and we see that God has allowed Boaz to get to the city and get these 10 elders, and the kinsman redeemer is actually there, and they can all meet. And in front of everyone, Boaz talks to them and says, basically, this is the situation. Do you want to redeem this land? And at first, the near kinsman redeemer says, yes, like I would love to redeem this property. And of course, all of us reading it are like, oh, because we want Boaz and Ruth to get together. And then Boaz comes in and he says, okay, well, if you do, then Ruth and Naomi come along, with this, with you gathering and getting this property. And you see that the kinsman redeemer says, oh, well, I can't do that. I can't do that. And it says, at this, the kinsman redeemer said, in verse 6, then I cannot redeem it because I might endanger my own estate. You redeem it yourself. I cannot do it. And so what we see is when he first hears about the land, he's eager, right? Because it's something that he's gaining and it's going to benefit him. But then when he hears that Ruth and Naomi are part of that redemption plan, right? Then it's going to cost him something. And then he sees, well, I can endanger my family. I can endanger my name. And I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to redeem something that's going to cost me something. I only want to redeem something that's going to help me and be beneficial to me. And so we see that the first near kinsman redeemer basically rejects Ruth and Naomi and passes on them and says to Boaz, you go ahead and do it. And then Boaz, of course, sweeps in and says, okay, that he will redeem, and he makes the transaction, and we are just cheering and excited. And what we see through this story is how, Boaz was concerned for Ruth, and he's concerned for Naomi, and he's concerned for them not wanting to build his own estate, not wanting to build his own name and make his legacy last forever. He was concerned just for them. And the ironic thing is we don't know this near kinsman redeemer. We don't know his name, right? But yet we know Boaz's name, and his name has stayed the test of time, and through generations we have learned about him and been encouraged and heard his story. And I can't help but wonder, when I've been reading actually this whole book of Ruth, I can't help but wonder when I see Boaz and see the man that he is and his integrity and how he has just fell in love with Ruth. And even though she's a woman from a different enemy nation, and at first she didn't know about God, but he cares for her. And you can see even through chapter 2 and 3 how he's so tender towards her and looks out for her. And I can't help but wonder if part of that's because of who his mom was. His mom was Rahab, and she had been a prostitute. And she was the one who, by faith, helped the two Jewish spies and take down Jericho. And I just wonder, growing up with Rahab being his mom, if God allowed her stories and her life to really create a tenderness in his heart for women who maybe are not always included, women who come from different paths and different backgrounds, women who maybe are not always accepted by the mainstream culture. And how God has used, how he's even redeemed Rahab through Boaz in this story of Ruth. And I'm just encouraged by what we see in today's scripture and just in the reading, and that our past do not determine our future, and how God can redeem any past. He is amazing and powerful, and we don't have to. We just need to walk lives of obedience to what He has called us to do, and through that we will live extraordinary lives because we live them out in obedience to Him and in love for Him. So thank you so much for joining me, and I can't wait to get started with chapter 4 this week. Love God greatly. Bye-bye.